Welcome back. As we promised in our intro, we are going to tackle a very important topic, which is renewable energy and particularly green hydrogen. To launch the national mega project of renewable energy, particularly this sector, and to change Egypt to be a regional hub for renewable energy, to take into consideration that green hydrogen is the future of renewable energy worldwide. This is the way, or one of the ways, one of the paths we are stepping in for the new Republic Egypt 2030. To shed more light on this and on launching also the National Council for Green Hydrogen, we are very much delighted to have with us via phone His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister and our economic expert. Thank you very much for being with us, sir, and a very good morning.
Good morning. It's my pleasure. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. Egypt is moving forward to achieve sustainable development by implementing several green hydrogen production projects in partnership with major international companies working in this field and with implementing on the ground strategic partnership between the public and private sector. Before going into these details, sir, how do you see the political leadership keenness or the state's keenness to change Egypt into a renewable energy hub, and not only even for the Middle East, but to get the best use of our geographic location and to be a regional hub for renewable energy, a hub for the whole world. It's not only for a certain even region.
I must say that we are lucky because we have the decision and the leadership. Same time, God bless us is giving us this sort of gifts, whether in the field of oil, gas, and electricity. Now we are talking about a sort of clean energy and energy which is environment friendly. And as you rightly said, we are becoming to be a hub for supplying energy in the area. Not many people know that Beirut now is taking its electricity coming from Egypt, Damascus, and Gaza. And now we are establishing an electric line to join our electric net with Greece and Cyprus in order to export it to Europe. And Europe is happy with this.
In addition to Jordan and Saudi Arabia, of course.
Yeah, they are happy because we are replacing part of what the Russians were doing.
Yeah.
Also, we have a huge electric project which is connecting the electric net among all the Arab world, from Baghdad in the east up to Casablanca in the west, from Alexandria till Johannesburg even. And here we are giving the chance for Egypt and for its neighbors to export their electric energy to Europe and to the neighbor countries.
Yep. Sir,
and of the green.
In your first answer, sir, you mentioned a very important point, which is being lucky with the discoveries of natural gas and oil, beside what we are talking about regarding the renewable energy. And here I cannot miss that point, and to mention the important meeting which took place yesterday as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received the CEO of the giant Italian company of Eni, which said the company said that they are going in the coming 4 years to add more and more to their investments in Egypt. How do you see going in both tracks, and taking into consideration that we do not have the luxury of wasting any of them?
This is one very good story also, because we are lucky that this sort of investment, they wouldn't take the decision to invest unless they are sure about the results and they are getting back their investment plus more and more oil and gas. So Eni is an old partner, and they have the experience in our area, of course. Hope that this also will add to our energy production.
Yes, amen to that. Sir, when we talk about green hydrogen or renewable energy, here we do have two elements or also two tracks to establish the National Council for Green Hydrogen, meaning that this is going to be responsible for the scientific research, for the licenses, for helping the investors to overcome all the obstacles to launch their own new companies, to help the new entrepreneurs and startups and stuff like that, in addition to what's going on the ground. How do you see this collaboration between theory and practice?
This is very important because we need to establish an authority to be responsible for this sector also. Of course, the people there, they are our best experts. They have all the ways and means to make good use of the green energy, and they will manage to make very good use of this. And here we are talking about one good side of the story, that environment will be also treated very good.
Preserved.
Because this sort of energy, the new source of energy, is not harming the environment by any means. So it is another addition to very wise policy concerning energy, especially green energy.
Yep. Sir, also, when we speak about strategic partnership between the public and private sectors, and when we speak about attracting more foreign investment, we cannot skip speaking about modernizing our infrastructure. And with the networks of roads, with digitalization, with digital transformation, I mean, and with building new smart cities, this is also a big part of our way to propagate for Egypt as that much ready as an environment for investors coming from all over the world. Would you please elaborate on that?
Yes, I am happy to hear this, because we were in the middle of taking a strong decision to choose that the private sector will take place in our whole economic development, not only in energy. And of course, you will know, that our investments need foreign forces, foreign direct investment. Why? Because our savings are not enough to cover all our projects. That's why we are encouraging Egyptians living abroad, Arab countries, and even foreign countries who have the technology also, because the foreign investor comes with his technology.
Sure.
Here we have to convince the public opinion and the mass media to do its best to welcome the efforts of the private sector, especially coming from abroad. Because frankly speaking, I am not happy with some remarks coming from big columnists and big writers in our main newspapers. They are hesitant to support having in Egypt foreign direct investment, saying that we are selling our country. This is not selling. This is somebody coming with his money to invest in your country, to create jobs, to create production of any sort of...
Sir, because you are an expert,
Yeah.
because you are an expert, you are our veteran economic expert and also diplomatic figure. Some people would, express their worries in a way which may indicate how much they are very much involved into the issue or in love with this country to the maximum that they are worried about anything which might even harm or hurt us in a way. But of course, with our transparency, with the political leadership keenness to be that much transparent in all the occasions. For example, in the last tour of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the military academy, one of the trainees there asked him that, Frank, what about renewable energy? He said that green hydrogen is the future, meaning that it's one of the priorities. So there is all the time this kind of direct dialogue between the president and us as people. So don't worry about that. And of course, I do respect the way you are looking at the way some articles are written. If you permit me, sir, I want to also focus on another side of the coin, which is invading new markets, new horizons. I mean, it was not that normal to find people seeking to invest in renewable energy. Do we have now this culture?
We have it, but there are some people who are with it, the majority are with it. The good news is that the leadership now is defending this case, but still I am afraid that there are some people who needs more information, who needs to be involved in a national dialogue to see what do we really need. Because, of course, all of us, we love our country. But as the national say, some love can kill you. So we need a sort of love with wise men thinking to the right direction. And just a couple of days ago, I read some article asking all our businessmen to cover our debts. My goodness, no businessman, if we collect the wealth of all our businessmen, it won't cover this sort of debt. And this is not the task of the private sector. Here I am very frank to our audience to say that we have to stop this and to convince those people that we need foreign direct investment because it produces what we need. It exports to the other partners in our world. It creates thousands of jobs which we need for our young generation, and so on. So it is a sort of involving this. Thank God that we are in the middle of the national dialogue, and I hope that the national dialogue will come with very strong messages to all Egyptians to make them be quite sure that we need foreign direct investment in very clear words.
And days will prove that we are, inshallah, in the on the right path, in the right direction. Sir, if you permit me, I'd like also to shed more light on the package of incentives which were released by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to investors, and particularly to investors who are keen to enter the industrial world, industry. Whether it's heavy industry, it's light, it's small and medium projects, you name it. But for example, to exempt the new companies from taxes for 5 years, and those 5 years might be extended to 10 years if they are working in a strategic commodity. How do you see such incentives and their role in attracting more investors, whether from inside or from the Arab, African, or foreign investors?
Yes, we always have these ideas to give some incentives, whether by tax evasion or by giving the land immediately to those who are intent to establish new projects. The Suez Canal zone is a good example because it is calling on the very far countries in the Far East, like Japan, like India or China. save time. Don't waste your time by shipping your merchandise until it goes to Europe. Come and produce it in the Suez Canal zone, or the least that you can store it in the Suez Canal zone. To make my point clear, that if you want to buy Brazilian sugar or Brazilian coffee, you will find it in Beirut. You don't have to go to Rio de Janeiro. So in few days, it is in your hands, in your market. This is what Canal Suez zone is attracting investors to come, either to invest or to store or to use the area for supplies the ships or to repair the ships. Many opportunities are there. Of course, this can be repeated in El Alamein in the west, which is nearer to Italy, for instance. It can be repeated in Sinai, and we are doing this quite successfully. Just we know we want to make everybody in our country knows exactly what we are doing.
Yes, sir, and I think that what you have kindly mentioned can be also said about الأدبية, العين السخنة, نويبع, New Port Said port. I mean, to renovate our ports, to renovate their platforms, all the logistics to enter this maritime industry. I think this is also an added value to what we are talking about. True?
Absolutely, because here is intelligence of the place. Egypt in the middle of everywhere, and we can sell this. It makes the life of an investor much easier. He is in the middle of everywhere. Another source of encouragement, that the openness of the Egyptian economy.
Yeah.
We took the decision far since Gamal Abdel Nasser, when he was the one who decided that Egypt join the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT. Then that continues, that we have free trade area with the Arab world, we have free trade area with the whole African continent, and the very serious agreement, which is the association agreement with Europe since 2001. Our exports to Europe has been 4 times more than it started in 2001. Same thing with the Arab world, same thing with Africa. So we are giving a sort of a message to an investor. If you come and invest in Egypt, this is not the market of 100 million inhabitants. No. It is that if you invest in Egypt, you will be able to export to markets where Egypt has free trade areas to more than 2,000 million inhabitants around us. An attraction like that is very important, and also it is for Egyptians to produce more and to produce more efficient merchandise in order to cover now the BRICS, which have the most populated 2 countries in the whole world,
China and India.
And we have a long experience in this. I hope that we can cover all these tasks and all these areas in order to create more jobs, create more commodities, and live much more developed.
And to localize our industry, to make the maximum use of our raw materials, to know well that we do have a lot of potentials and they are all should be used to the maximum. Sir,
exactly, yeah.
Sir, of course, you are wearing two important hats here as a diplomatic figure and our economic expert. So let's merge them together and speak about sidelines diplomacy, because President Sisi is very keen wherever he is outside Egypt, of course, to have these interviews or these meetings with the business world in this country, business delegations, chambers of commerce. How do you see, sir, this way to propagate for Egypt, not only to propagate or to have this kind of marketing for Egypt, but to say the truth, to pave the way for all businessmen and investors from all over the world to come and to invest here because of the opportunities we have? How do you see this mix between foreign diplomacy and the economic file?
Of course, it's one part of our task. Not only the economic, but also the culture relations, which makes us welcome everywhere. And as a diplomat, I am so happy that we restore one of the most important weapons of our diplomacy, which is the presidency. Before 2011, we lived almost 20 years without any presidential activity for foreign policy. Here we have a president who visited Tokyo in the Far East and Paris in the Far West twice in 2 months to attend meetings like the TICAD in Tokyo, the G7, then the G20 in Paris. He went to New York, and he went to many countries in the African continent. And here, he doesn't travel alone or by himself.
Leading a high-ranking delegation.
5, 6 ministers. Then when a decision is taken, it will be implemented immediately.
This is exactly what I wanted to say, that we do build on what we achieved already. I mean, it's not only a presidential activity, but there are meetings on the heads of governments level, on the ministerial level, of the chambers of commerce level, to continue that fast, not to have only memoranda of understanding as ink on paper. No, the memoranda to be implemented on the ground and to be a win-win situation for all.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And in all these meetings, we see the president surrounded with the minister and the high officials, but at the same time with businessmen.
Yes.
So businessmen are much more clever than us. They know the details. So a businessman from Egypt will meet his counterpart from any other country which you are aiming to bring to Egypt. Then they go to business immediately. This is a sort of diplomacy which is very active, very clever, and we need it tremendously.
Ambassador Bayoumi, you're always an added value to our programs. I really enjoyed our discussion. Thank you very much for your input, sir, and have a very good day. We were very much delighted to have with us via phone His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, our diplomatic figure, former Assistant Foreign Minister, and our economic expert. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.